Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be looking at what I consider the best version of the new Defender, and we're also going to talk about whether or not I should give Land Rover another chance. I'll explain some of what's happening in today's video, but anyways, before we get into this, a huge shout out and thank you to the Land Rover here in Lehigh for giving me some time with this Defender. I'll include a link to the website in the description down below. Also include a link to my car buying guide. Let's get into it. So first off, powering this version of the Defender is a supercharged 5-liter V8 that goes through an 8-speed. It puts out 493 horsepower and then 450 pound-feet of torque. Fuel economy is 14 around town and then 19 on the highway, so this is just slightly detuned from the original Defender V8 for this generation. Now before I move forward with this video, I do want to mention if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So I picked this particular package on the Defender because this is the package, or one of the packages rather, that I am looking into. I think this is cooler than the bad boy V8 version of the Defender because it's a lot more customizable. This one's obviously finished in black, but you can also get it in Pangea green, for example. You can get it in bronze as well. There's the bronze color on the new Defender. So it's just more customizable than the loaded up V8, which I think is really cool. And you don't have to get it all blacked out. Like you can see, this one has silver with it. So if you want a little bit of contrast with your Defender, this quote-unquote baseline V8 offers that. Now, just like the loaded up V8, this does have 20s as the smallest wheel option, so it doesn't give you a whole lot in terms of tire sidewall, but the Defender's four-wheel drive system takes care of that. And then another thing I like is the unpainted fender flares and bodywork. I know a lot of people don't like that, but for me, I think it makes it look more rugged, more off-road ready versus having everything painted like that one. It's too fancy. This is more my style. And this is also had in the 110 configuration. So you've got the cool swing gate just like all the Defenders, but plenty of storage space here in the rear. I think the 110 still really is the sweet spot for the Defender. And then it has the air suspension, so you can raise and lower the rear here as well. And then this thing that I love about the Defender is that, so that it's easier to clean up after the fact. So cool. And then you can see here with the spare tire in the back, and then you still get the cool exhaust tip set up here, just like the bad boy Defender V8. But yeah, stylistically, it looks good. And then if we pop inside, you don't have to get the fully loaded interior, so you can get the more quote-unquote baseline materials. This is really cool. So if you want like resist seats, for example, and I think this one has the, I'll double check the window sticker, this one has the leather seats, but you can get more baseline seats if you want, so you don't have to have it so fancy like the V8 loaded up one. Let's see what the climate controls here. USB ports. Still get the cool Alpine windows as well. So the point that I'm trying to make here is, with this, you still get the V8 power, but you don't have to have it as fully loaded, and it still has all the stuff you'd want, like the Meridian sound system. You can see blind spot running with the mirrors, and here are the front seats on this one. This one's kind of like a loaded up base model. Funny enough. Turn it on. Yeah, listen to that. That's cool. That's cool. Tell me that's not cool. You can see here, still have all the practical controls. And then I like how the steering wheel, you can still do like the lighter finish. So again, more contrast. And this has, you know, the digital gauge cluster. It also has the important stuff like 360 camera. Now note, this has the smaller infotainment system. That's something else that you can get in this if you don't want the giant screen, if you want the smaller unit. So you've got more options that way. This one still has heated and cooled seats with it. You've got the adjustments for the air suspension, hill descent control, dual zone climate, all the drive modes. And I think that just like the regular V8, yeah, you do have a dynamic mode. So this is one of the Defenders with a dynamic. And then you can get the cool box if you want. This one doesn't have it, so you don't have to pay for that if you don't want it, whereas the fully loaded V8 just comes with all that standard. You can see the charging pad there. And then again with the trim, you don't have to get like the fancy stuff on the dash if you don't want that. And then this one does have a panoramic sunroof. And then there's more headliner options with this in terms of coloration, at least from what I saw with Land Rover's configurator. Now the big thing with this that's really cool is the price with it. So this one has a few options, including the satin paint protection film, which is literally $5,000. But starting price is $93,300, whereas the loaded up V8 Defender and then the new Defender Octa, which we'll talk about the Octa as well. The loaded V8 Defender, you're like $120,000 roughly, and then the Octa, you're $150,000 starting. Whereas this, after all options, $107,000. So more reasonable with the price. So let's take it out. We'll drive it. I'll kind of talk about my thoughts on Land Rover ownership, and yeah. Well, let us set off in this V8 Defender and talk about the Defender situation. So if you follow the channel, you know that my wife and I owned an inline 6 Defender for about a year, and after a year it had the power steering go out twice and it needed new coolant lines. So it wasn't the worst situation I've ever had with the car, but it was a little bit more problematic than we would have liked. And I will say Land Rover did a really good job with, well, covering things under warranty first and foremost, but just the overall ownership experience was the best I've ever had with a car. Like everything from the buying and all that. And again, I've talked about this in other videos, so I'm not going to bore you with all of the details. But yeah, I made a video talking about how, hey, I think I'm done with Land Rover. And well, I jumped boat and went over to Toyota, as you guys know, and my experience with Toyota has not been great. Now, I'm gonna make a different video talking about all of this, but all you need to know in this video is we bought 2 of what are supposed to be the most reliable Toyotas ever, 200 series Land Cruisers. One of them was so bad that we just got rid of it after, I think, less than 1,000 miles. The other one, I'll have an update video on that soon. But overall, I've been just, all you need to know for this video, extremely disappointed with ownership of a Toyota. It did not go anywhere I expected it to go when it comes to expectations. And so my wife and I are kind of on the search again. And so you might be wondering, why the heck would you go back to Land Rover after, you know, having that situation for a year? Well, we have some other cars in the garage right now, one of them which is the new Ineos Grenadier. Really like that car, and that car has been amazing so far, and so we're kind of leaning towards using that car for my wife. And so now this comes down to my personal vehicle, and I actually really liked my wife's Defender, and so it worries me less if we have another Defender and I'm the one driving it, because like if the power steering goes out, well, just watch. I posted a couple lifting videos on the channel. I've got the muscle to do this. I mean, I drove her Defender to the dealership. It was like 50 miles without power steering. So like I can handle it if the power steering goes out. It's not a big deal whatsoever. But obviously, if I'm gonna get a Defender, I gotta upgrade a little bit. And I think that's why I am leaning towards V8 with the Defender. Now, I've looked at all 3 of the V8 Defenders, this one, the loaded up V8, and the Octa, and this is probably gonna sound so weird, you guys. I'm debating between this and the Octa. Reason being is this is super customizable, whereas the regular V8 is not. Like, you have like 2 different color options basically, and it just comes fully loaded as standard. Whereas this, I can get basically a base model interior if I want, and the V8 powertrain, and then I could get it in the same green that we had before that we both really like, the Pangea green. So this is just more customizable, and it's fast enough. It sounds great too. It's a really cool rig. So that's like the appeal with this, is it's basically everything that we had prior, slightly bigger wheels, right? We had 19s, this has 20s, big whoop. But it's got a V8. So that's kind of my thoughts on this one. And then the Octa, right, that's the new one on the block. Really cool. I have the ability to order one if I so desire. It's really expensive though. This, with how I would spec it out, I haven't played with the configurator a ton, but it looks like my spec, it's a weird one, but my spec would probably come out to around, somewhere around $100,000 roughly. Whereas with the Octa, it's gonna be like 170. So that's a big chunk of change. It's a big difference. So I'm still kind of going back and forth on that if we decide to go this route. That obviously has Land Rover's new 60 suspension. It's got a lot of fancy stuff. It's a really cool rig. So it's, I don't know, it's a situation. I will give you guys more details as the I'd say the weekend progresses. This is the beginning of the week, so as the weekend progresses, I'll give you guys more details. I'm gonna be super busy this week, but I'll give you an update on the Toyota situation and everything else. But basically, I think this is the best version of the Defender because of the price point it's at, the customization that you can get. It's got the V8, and it's just really cool. And I want you guys to let me know if you think if I should go down the Land Rover route again. It's funny because it's like we had problems with it, but I want one again because just go and drive one, you'll understand. These drive so well, they look cool, the dealership experience is amazing. And so it's like, you know what? If it's covered under warranty, I don't know. Especially after this, after all this stuff that's happened with Toyota, it's not been fun there. But if you guys have any other suggestions, what I will say is I don't really know what else to look at this point because I'll just say, again, I'll make another video, but I'm not really interested in the new Land Cruiser or the Lexus GX. I want an SUV. I like the boxy SUVs that can go off-road. The new G-Wagon doesn't really appeal to me because they got rid of the V8 out of the G550. I kind of looked into getting a used G550, so let me know if you guys want to see like a 24 used or a new 24, because there are some new 24 still available. But there's not really that much left. I've already owned like all the boxes. And this seems to be the only box that I want to go back, weirdly enough. I know I'll get a lot of comments of people saying, Ben, you review cars, you should know better. And well, I've also experienced ownership of a lot of cars, and so I do know better when it comes to the ownership experience. And here's what I'll finish off with the video. I would rather be driving around in a Land Rover service demo than be driving around in the Toyota with the situation, with the stuff we've had. That's my take on that. I'd rather drive a Land Rover service demo than deal with the Toyota stuff. I don't know where I'm going. Sorry, I'm kind of lost. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this. Let me know if you think if I should give Land Rover a second chance. I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be fun to do another series. You guys seem to really enjoy the Defender series. And so, yeah, we'll just leave it at that. G550 off-road package, this V8 Defender or Defender Octa. Those are the options that I'm looking at right now. Yeah, that's all. See ya.